Hello, I'm Pastor Sidney of the All Faith Church Liberation. Um, Small reflection on today. It's been a while since I've been able to talk to people. A lot of things are going on in the church, a lot of different things are going on, and we'll be sharing things over the next few weeks and months. But one thing I think would be kind of interesting to put out there now, finally, is part two of something I was trying to do months and months ago, which is what is going on in the world. We might title it something else here. I don't know if folks have noticed in this country and around the world, in the democracies of the North and other parts of the planet, that usually things tend to fall on one or another side of a political spectrum. And then there are these corporations called parties that try to gain from the tendencies going on in the culture, different movements, and they become champions of those movements. And whether or not they actually sincerely want those demographics they represent to win or not, they pretend that they win, and they stir up problems between them. And now, a typical example, the Republican Party has been successful in convincing folk that Christian people and other people, specifically evangelical Christians and other Christians, are served by their party. The Democrats on their side are trying to front themselves as those that would support gay rights and trans people's rights and sexual minorities' rights. So there you have a divide, which, years ago wasn't a divide. You had Christian people who were gay. You had that wasn't even a contradiction. To say that nowadays is almost to create a meme. Why is that? Because over the last 20 and 30 years, these two corporations have stirred up problems between communities that need not have been. And are they really serving those communities? Do Christians really feel served by Republicans? Do queer people feel really served by the Democrats? I think we go along with it. I think we go along with whatever we can get and try to get something out of that. And really, honestly, it's a bunch of billionaires who contribute to both parties and at this point take over directly the government. They are not interested in doing what is good for the majority of people. And even they, I would have to say, are not being served by the system, because capitalism at this point is becoming so unprofitable that slavery is what's being turned to, and automation also is being turned to, because there's no more profitability in the creation of industrial products. I'm going to have another video up soon, and I'll link to that here, and you can see that. We're going to talk about some old political economic questions, which are really escaping the questions of today. But back to this idea. One of the things people do in such a situation is they become rah-rah cheerleaders for one or another side. And it gets us to be really ridiculous. During the time President Trump was running for office, there was so much in the media, whether true or not, that was against him and make him look terrible and make him have to fight. The same thing happens now with Luigi Magnoni, who right now is being accused of assassinating a member of the, Brian Thompson, a member of the United Healthcare Group. And everyone is taking sides. Everyone is saying, yes, let's do this. Let's hurt people. Or no, well, see how the violence, got to stamp down that violence, usually by using some kind of violence. It becomes really obvious that we are being pushed around by rather small groups of people who themselves don't exactly know what people want to hear, but they come up with things that people want to hear and try to steer us in directions. I'm old enough to remember when queer people were not represented by the Democratic Party. The Democratic Party in this century, I would see elected officials making homophobic jokes publicly of the Democratic Party. Also, the Republican Party has done that too. We fought for our own rights, and then the Democrats came and kind of rode that into their hegemony and their justification. The same is true for religious people who, regardless of how they feel about sexuality, feel represented by the Republican Party. But again, I would tell you all, whichever side you fall on, do you feel represented by these things? Do you feel represented by these parties, which by nature are divorced from the actual reality of whatever they're pushing? And they're like any other corporation in capitalism, they're trying to sell products. And the products is a certain kind of vision of the world. Well, that might be a nice thing, but if you look back at the history of the Democrats, Republicans for 100, 200 years, they weren't particularly consistent of what the vision was. The radical Republicans of the Civil War era were to the left of anything the Democrats are doing now. And things flipped like that. The Democrats were the slavocrat party. They're called the Dixiecrats in the 50s. Nowadays we keep forgetting. One of the reasons I love the Bible and other scripture books is it makes us have a historical concept. Even if it's somewhat, in some people's minds, a literary rather than historical, it does give you a concept which allows you to see time as it's passing and time in the passage, and you become older in a way. Even than God, as he's reading this, you become in the mind of God or the mind of any of the heroes and heroines of the story. A lot of things to say, but one of the things I just want to reiterate is as we face a lot of problems going forward with discontent among various people, whoever you voted for, you probably find yourself somewhat discontented now, even if some people are feeling good or some people are feeling relieved or some people are feeling angry or some people are... We're all being stirred up by these parties. We're all being stirred up by the factions of the media. And really, when it comes down to it, a true church, like our church, has all kinds of people. We have people who voted for Donald Trump. We have people who voted for Kamala Harris. We have people who voted several third-party candidates. And there were some who didn't vote at all and chose not to do that. They're all in our church. They're all welcome. We don't have to hate each other just because of who you voted for. I'm going to leave another, probably another thing, another video, and we'll have it under this one, about Luigi Magnoni, one of our deacons, Deacon Gary from Detroit, is kind enough to write an article which I'm going to share with you in the next couple days, or perhaps sooner. I'll be doing a video of that and sending it to you. Sorry that was everywhere, but if you look around you, there's all kinds of things you see, and you say, what does that mean? What does that mean? What does that? Can I take this out of context? Can I take this out of context? Well, you see, it's all part of a big world that no one can judge from the outside. And if we don't see who we really are, whoever we voted for, or whatever little demographic we may or may not be part of, or if we're part of all the demographics at once, which can happen, we should not judge from outside experience or outside appearance. We shouldn't judge at all, because that's the person we follow. The Rabbi Jesus said, do not judge. And it's the most challenging thing in the world. Not just judge each other, but don't judge the future. Don't judge the next 5 minutes or tomorrow. What's going on tomorrow, let tomorrow take care of tomorrow. Very challenging thing to do. There'll be lots more to talk about, and I thank you very much for your attention. I feel I've gone far enough now, and I'll be making a few other videos and putting them out in the next few weeks. Thank you so much.